by Canali Milano, a cotton shirt by Ike Bahar, a silk tie by Bill Blass, cap-toed leather lace-ups from Brooks Brothers. I'm pretending to be on the phone. He sits down across from me, on the other side of the palette-setty glass-topped desk. There's a smudge on his forehead, or at least that's what I think I see. Aside from that, he looks remarkably fit. Our conversation probably resembles something like this, but is actually briefer. "Price," I say, shaking his hand. "Where have you been?" "Oh, just making the rounds." He smiles. "But hey, I'm back." "Far out," I shrug, confused. "How was it?" "It was surprising." He shrugs too. "It was depressing." "I thought I saw you in Aspen," I murmur. "Hey, how are you, Bateman?" he asks. "I'm okay," I tell him, swallowing. "Just existing." "And Evelyn?" he asks. "How is she?" "Well, we broke up." I smile. "That's too bad." He takes us in, remembers something. "Courtney?" "She married Lewis." "Grass Green?" "No, Carruthers." He takes us in, too. "Do you have her number?" While writing it down for him, I mention, "You've been gone, like, forever, Tim. What's the story?" I ask, again noticing the smudge on his forehead, though I get the feeling that if I asked someone else if it was there, he or she would just say no. He stands up, takes the card. "I've been back. You probably missed me. Lost track. Because of the move." He pauses teasingly. "I'm working for Robinson. Right-hand man, you know." "Almond?" I ask, offering one, a futile effort on my part to mask my dismay at his smugness. He pats my back, says, "You're a madman, Bateman. An animal. A total animal." I can't disagree. I laugh weakly, walking him to the door. As he leaves, I'm wondering and not wondering what happens in the world of Tim Price, which is really the world of most of us. Big ideas, guy stuff, boy meets the world, boy gets it. Bum on 5th. I'm coming back from Central Park, where near the Children's Zoo, close to the spot I murdered the McCaffrey boy, I fed portions of Ursula's brain to passing dogs. Walking down 5th Avenue around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, everyone on the street looks sad. The air is full of decay. Bodies lie on the cold pavement, miles of it. Some are moving, most are not. History is sinking, and only a very few seem dimly aware that things are getting bad. Airplanes fly low across the city, crossing in front of the sun. Winds shoot up 5th, then funnel down 57th Street. Flocks of pigeons rise in slow motion and burst up against the sky. The smell of burning chestnuts mixes with carbon monoxide fumes. I notice the skyline has changed only recently. I look up admiringly at Trump Tower, tall, proudly gleaming in the late afternoon sunlight. In front of it, 2 smart-ass nigger teenagers are ripping off tourists at 3-Card Monte, and I have to fight the impulse to blow them away. A bum I blinded one spring sits cross-legged on a ratty blanket near the corner of 55th Street. Moving closer, I see the beggar's scarred face, and then the sign he's holding beneath it, which reads, "Vietnam vet blinded in Vietnam. Please help me. We are hungry and homeless." We? Then I notice the dog, who was already eyeing me suspiciously, and as I approach, its master gets up, growling. When I'm standing over the bum, it finally barks, wagging its tail frantically. I kneel down, threateningly raise a hand at it. The dog backs off, its paws askew. I've pulled out my wallet, pretending to drop $1 into his empty coffee can, but then realize, why bother pretending? No one's watching anyway, definitely not him. I retract the $1, leaning in. He senses my presence and stops shaking the can. The sunglasses he wears don't even begin to cover the wounds I inflicted. His nose is so junked up, I can't imagine a person breathing through it. "You were never in Vietnam," I whisper in his ear. After a silence, during which he pisses in his pants, the dog whimpering, he croaks, "Please, don't hurt me." Why would I waste my time? I mutter, disgusted. I move away from the bum, noticing instead a little girl smoking a cigarette, begging for change outside Trump Tower. "Shoo," I say. She says, "Shoo!" back. On the Patty Winters show this morning, a Cheerio sat in a very small chair and was interviewed for close to an hour. Later this afternoon, a woman wearing a silver fox and mink coat has her face slashed in front of the Stanhope by an enraged fur activist. But now, still staring at the sightless bum from across the street, I buy a Dove bar, a coconut one, in which I find part of a bone. New club. Thursday night, I run into Harold Carnes at a party for a new club called World's End that opens in a space where Petty's used to be, on the Upper East Side. I'm with Nina Goodrich and Jean in a booth, and Harold's standing at the bar drinking champagne. I'm drunk enough to finally confront him about the message I left on his machine. Excused from the booth, I make my way to the other side of the bar, realizing that I need a martini to fortify myself before discussing this with Carnes. It has been a very unstable week for me. I found myself sobbing during an episode of Alf on Monday. Nervously, I approach. Harold is wearing a wool suit by Gibbs & Hawk, a silk twill tie, cotton shirt, shoes by Paul Stewart. He looks heavier than I remember.